Management of any business can be understood through 4 core managerial functions: planning, controlling, organizing, and leading. Together, these functions describe how managers translate business goals and strategy into actions to achieve results. Planning defines what the company intends to accomplish and how resources are allocated. Controlling evaluates performance against targeted key performance indicator and corrects deviations in performance. Organizing establishes structures, roles, and processes, while leading focuses on motivating people, shaping culture, and directing behaviors. Welcome to Lesson 1. In this lesson, we will delve into business operations management. It is one of the 2 key domains in business management. The business simulation game that you will play in this program is designed specifically to train and build skills in business operations management. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to differentiate business operations management from organization management as 2 domains of business management. Recognize the meaning and purpose of planning in business operations management. Recognize the meaning and purpose of controlling in business operations management. Identify the 4 core actions of planning as a management process. Identify the 4 core actions of controlling as a management process. Recognize plan and control as the central capabilities trained by business simulation game. Apply the plan, do, check, adjust cycle in making decisions in the business simulation game. You will be equipped with all the skills to make intelligent decisions in the operations of a business. Let's get started. The 4 core managerial functions of planning, controlling, organizing, and leading can be grouped into 2 broad domains. Operations management primarily concerns planning and controlling, allocating resources into purchasing raw materials, manufacturing the product, marketing the company's brand, improving the product, selling the product, maintaining the efficiency of the production machines, expanding the production capacity, and pay dividend to reward shareholders. In contrast, organization management focuses on organizing and leading, which involves designing the organizational structure, assigning responsibilities, and influencing people's behavior through leadership and culture. This training program is built around a business simulation game. It is deliberately designed to develop skills in business operations management, not organization management. The business simulation game trains participants to make decisions in the software side of management, which is operations, and not the hardware side of management, which is organization. Business planning is a core managerial activity that determines how an organization allocates its limited resources to achieve desired outcomes. In the context of business operations management, planning refers to the systematic process of deciding the objectives and determining in advance the actions, resources, and trade-offs required to achieve them. It is the forward-looking, decision-oriented component of management, the software that guides execution before any action is taken. Planning matters because business environments are characterized by scarcity, uncertainty, and competition. Resources such as capital, capacity, and managerial attention are limited. Markets evolve, competitors respond, and outcomes are never guaranteed. Without planning, decisions become reactive, inconsistent, and driven by short-term pressure rather than strategic intent. Effective planning establishes a logical basis for later evaluation for control. Planning in organizations operates at 3 distinct but interlinked levels: strategic, tactical, and operational planning. Strategic planning is the responsibility of top management. It defines the organization's long-term direction and competitive position. Strategic plans answer the question, what business we want to be in. How do we become the number one in the business? Decisions at this level include market selection, positioning of the product, major investment in new products, etc., over a time horizon of at least 3 to 5 years or longer. Tactical planning translates a grand strategy into medium-term actionable plans for business units or functions such as marketing, production, R&D, etc. It is usually the responsibility of middle management. Tactical plans answer the question, how do we best deploy our resources to maximize demand and profitability? Decisions at this level include capacity expansion plans, R&D plans, etc. The time horizon is about a year or 2. Operational planning focuses on day-to-day execution. It is the responsibility of frontline managers and supervisors. Operational plans answer the question, what must be done today, this week, or this month? Decisions at this level include raw material replenishment, maintenance expense, etc. The time horizon is up to a quarter or a season. The business simulation game requires managers to make 8 decisions in multiple rounds, which is the equivalent of a quarter or 1 season. These are short-term decisions. Also, each and every one of the 8 decisions must be backed up by a plan. The goal of the plan is always linked to making the decision. For example, the goal of the plan for making a decision on marketing expense is to achieve the outcomes and KPI forecasted. The strategy is linked to the business strategy. For example, cost leadership or differentiator. The forecast is linked to the outcomes and KPI you predict will happen with the decision you will make. The budget is linked to the conditions that must support your decision. For example, aggressive marketing to generate demand need large production capacity to fulfill demand. Is that available now and committed? R&D investment must be made to support aggressive marketing campaign. Is that committed? At its core, business planning consists of 4 interconnected actions: goal setting, strategy choice, forecasting, and budgeting. The first action is goal setting. Goals define what the organization intends to achieve over a quarter or a season. These may include financial objectives such as profit or cash flow, market objectives such as share growth, or operational objectives such as utilization or quality. Clear goals provide focus and act as reference points for all subsequent decisions. Without explicit goals, it is impossible to judge whether outcomes are satisfactory. The second action is strategy choice. Strategy determines how the organization intends to achieve its goals. This includes decisions about competitive positioning, such as cost leadership versus differentiation, as well as choices about coherent decision logic that guides resource allocation across functions. The third action is forecasting. Forecasting translates strategic intent into expectations about the outcomes and KPI. Managers estimate future demand, costs, inventory, and competitor behavior under uncertainty. Forecasts are not predictions of truth, they are structured assumptions that make planning explicit. The value of a forecast lies in forcing managers to articulate assumptions and understand risks, rather than eliminating uncertainty altogether. The decision that is finally made is the number that can make the forecasts happen. The fourth action is budgeting. Budgeting converts plans and forecasts into quantified resource commitments. It specifies how much money, capacity, and effort will be allocated to the activities that must be executed to support the decision. Budget is therefore not merely a financial document, but a numerical expression of strategic priorities. Together, these four actions form an integrated planning process. Goals define outcomes and KPI, strategy provides logic, forecasts frame uncertainty, and budget commit resources. In business operations management and in the simulation game, planning is not about perfect foresight, but about making structured, consistent, and defensible decisions before action is taken. Business control is the managerial process that ensures the actual performance of an organization remains aligned with its planned objectives. In operations management, control refers to the systematic monitoring of outcomes and KPI, comparison against benchmark of standards, and the initiation of corrective actions when deviations occur. If planning defines what the organization intends to do, control determines whether those intentions are being realized and what adjustments are required. Control matters because business environments are dynamic and uncertain. Even well-designed plans are based on assumptions that may prove inaccurate due to changes in demand, costs, competitor behavior, or operational execution. Without a control process, managers may continue along an unproductive path, unaware of deteriorating performance or emerging risks. Effective control provides feedback, learning, and discipline. It allows organizations to detect problems early, adapt to changing conditions, and improve decision quality over time. In the business simulation game, just as each and every decision must be backed by a plan, so must each and every decision backed by a control mechanism. Control and plan are twins. The control mechanism monitors and checks the outcomes and KPI that the decision promised to deliver. Any deviation from the standard will be reason to initiate corrective actions. At its core, business control consists of four interconnected actions: goal setting, standard adoption, performance evaluation, and corrective action. The first action is goal setting. Goal of control is to assess the effectiveness of the decision concerned. For example, the outcomes and KPI defined for marketing expense, R&D expense, raw material procurement, production allocation will be monitored and checked round after round. The plan process and the control process share the same decision, same outcomes, and KPI. The planning process tries to reach an optimal decision with estimation, while the control process tries to suggest correction to that estimation to reach an optimal decision. The second action is standard adoption. Standards define the reference points against which performance is measured. These may include budgeted figures, historical benchmarks, industry average, or internally agreed thresholds. Standards provide context for interpreting results. A market share of 23% as an outcome of a marketing expense decision, for example, has no meaning unless compared against a benchmark based on competitors. The third action is performance evaluation. This involves measuring actual results and comparing them with standards to identify deviations. Deviations can be favorable or unfavorable, large or small. The purpose is not to assign blame, but to understand where and why performance differs from expectations. This step transforms raw data into managerial insight. The fourth action is corrective action. When deviations are identified, managers must decide how to respond. Corrective actions may include adjusting prices, changing marketing expense, revising production levels, or revisiting assumptions to figure out why the deviation. Importantly, not all deviations require immediate correction. Some reflect acceptable risk or strategic trade-offs. The key is informed and deliberate response. Together, these four actions form a feedback loop that closes the gap between planning and execution. In business operations management and in the business simulation game, control is not about rigid enforcement or punishment. It is about learning, adaptation, and continuous improvement. Effective control enables managers to refine decisions, improve decisions, and maintain alignment between strategy and performance over time. Plan and control form an iterative, continuous management cycle that drives improvement. The cycle flows as plan, do, check, adjust. The four actions in the plan phase enable the managers to make decisions. Once decisions are made, the business goes into the execution phase. The four actions in the control phase check for deviations from the standard. Once the corrective actions are determined, the business goes into the plan phase again to make new decisions. Let's look at some key takeaways before we end this lesson. Managing a business demands that the managers must think logically and within a structure that is suited for the business and make decisions in a disciplined manner, following management processes that are designed to guide the decision-making and to allow corrections to the decisions in the future through learning from the results. The principles and practices in business operations management you learned in this lesson through a business simulation game trained you and equipped you with the skills in planning and control to be able to play the game well. Mastering this software side, if management is essential to all aspiring to be business manager to do well and succeed in the real world,